I was basically a prisoner. He was the warden and I was the prisoner in his home.
On October 27th of last year, a Sunday, Shanon Peralta says her husband turned violent. She says these pictures of bruises on her backside show the abuse left behind from the hands of St. Bernard Parish President David Peralta.
I was upstairs in the room doing my own thing, and he came upstairs and bust through the door and forced my clothes off of me. And I was telling him, no, I wasn't into it. And he just kept taking them off and forcing me, and he pushed me out of that room into the room across the hallway. And when he got me over there, he handcuffed me and he tied me from a rope that was hanging from the ceiling, which I'd never seen before. He'd never done that before.
Here are pictures from the room, ropes, a swing. It's where Peralta says her husband sexually assaulted her, forcing her to perform oral sex.
I wasn't cooperating, and he got angry and left. Well, I thought he was finished. He had unhandcuffed me.
Peralta says she left this room, then tried to walk across the hall to the bedroom.
Before I could close the door, he came from behind me and pushed me across the bed and forced himself on me. He was hitting me with his hand over and over and over, and I asked him to stop.
Peralta said that hitting left this mark.
He told me to shut up and that maybe I didn't want it, but he was going to take it, and he forced himself inside of me. He finished and got up and walked out of the room.
Peralta says there was little she could do.
I tried to fight back, but it's hard when you have somebody on top of you and restraining you like that. And he's strong. I had no way out. I had no way out.
She says she then went across the hall to the bathroom to take these pictures.
Ran into the bathroom and I took pictures because I knew at that point that I'd been violated, and it was something. His face was like a monster. He was angry. He was angry. I'd never seen this face on him before. Something snapped.
Every picture taken on a cell phone has metadata, information stamped behind the scenes. As soon as you snap the picture, one thing it reveals: the date and time. Peralta's pictures she sent to Fox 8 News match the time period and date of the alleged abuse and rape. The pictures were all stamped around 11:45 in the morning on Sunday, October 27th.
I snapped shots of my backside so I could have proof of how he had hurt me and how hard he had hit me, where he left a handprint on me, and pictures of the room where he had tied me up and the things that he had in there that he had wanted me to use on myself. And then after that, I hurried up and left the house.
Peralta says she left the house and went to the St. Bernard Sheriff's Office. St. Bernard Sheriff Jimmy Pullman told us he wanted state police to handle the complaint to avoid any question of whether it would be an objective investigation. Peralta drove to the interim LSU hospital, where doctors performed a rape kit. Here's a copy of the medical report she gave to Fox 8 News. It says Peralta had a cervical strain or sprained neck and a reddened area on her neck. The doctor wrote about signs of injury around the vagina, noting vaginal trauma and a vaginal tear. The report also documented reddened skin areas to both buttock cheeks. The medical report shows Peralta told doctors the same story she told us. The doctor wrote patient is consistent in reporting history. Peralta told the doctor her husband brought her forcefully into a room against her will, where he handcuffed her and forced oral sex. And then she said he laid her prone on the bed and penetrated her. State police started to investigate, and according to Shanon Peralta, went to the Peralta home that night. She says state police told her the parish president would be arrested. State police went to the home. They didn't arrest him. The next day, Peralta says she heard from her husband's attorney.
And he told me that Dave was sorry for what he'd done, and he wanted me to come over to his office and talk to him, and that it'd be a really good idea. And I told him, I said he raped and he beat me. And he said, well, come on anyway.
She complied. At the office, Sharon Peralta says David told her to sign this affidavit to drop the charges. The affidavit Sharon signed says she did not wish to see David Peralta prosecuted for any offenses arising from the incident which occurred at our home on October 27, 2013. Sharon Peralta told us the rape did happen, but her husband's threats pushed her to drop the charges.
If I didn't change my statement, say that I was crazy and go to a mental hospital and commit myself and say that I made up the entire story, that he would destroy me, he would take my job, he would take my pension and ruin me.
Sharon Peralta says she and her husband went to state police together. She signed the affidavit to drop the charges. David Peralta has not been charged. He declined our request for an on-camera interview, but released this statement, writing, "Unfortunately, St. Bernard Parish government's policy prohibits me from discussing any matters that are currently in litigation. Also, this is a personal matter as well, and I would ask that you respect my privacy for the present time." In November, Peralta did address the allegations to Fox 8's Shelley Brown.
I think it was a big misunderstanding, and just things kind of got out of hand a little bit. It was a personal matter between my wife and I.
During that interview, President Peralta said the differences had been settled.
You know, everyone in their lives has domestic issues between their spouses. But, you know, we were open. I cooperated. Sharon cooperated.
Sharon Peralta works as a paralegal for the parish. In early December, Sharon Peralta said her husband ordered her to take a forced leave of absence.
He's the parish president, and that's his building. And he can do whatever excuse my language, whatever he wants in the building. And that he didn't have to have a reason to fire me. I was an at-will employee. And he could fire me at any time. But I was going to do as he said.
So she left, and for the past few weeks has taken family and medical leave.
I'm on FMLA for post-traumatic stress disorder because of the rape.
Peralta says the marital problem started in September of last year, and since then she and her husband had been living in separate rooms until she moved out following the alleged rape. She left him for good on December 12th. David Peralta has since filed for divorce. After Christmas, Sharon Peralta says she went back to state police, telling them to move forward with the case. Peralta said the parish president is telling friends the rape didn't occur.
He's going to try to say that we play like that all the time, or that's just role playing. He told me that it was just sex, Sharon, get over it. That's what he told me. It was just sex, get over it. And they say that I was into that kind of thing, and I was never into that.
Peralta also gave us these text messages she says are between her and her husband from October 27th, the day of the alleged rape. The dates and time on her phone are from that day. According to her phone, these texts took place an hour after the alleged rape. She texted David Peralta a picture of her bruise and wrote, "You hit me so hard you left a handprint. You raped me." A text message labeled from David Peralta shows this response, "Where are you going?" Sharon Peralta then wrote, "You handcuffed me, tied me up, hit me on my butt, forced me to my knees, forced your expletive in my mouth, grabbing the back of my head, got angry when I didn't comply, got up and walked out and walked to the bedroom upstairs. You came behind me saying, maybe you didn't want it, but I'm taking it. You forced yourself in me, hurting me, slapping me very hard. I told you to stop it, hurt, and you told me to shut up. I was crying from the time you stormed in the room and forced my clothing off. I never once consented to this situation. You raped me." According to Sharon Peralta's phone, she received a text message from her husband's phone that said, "And we played that game how many times?" Then Sharon wrote, "Consenting and not consenting, there is a difference. It was very obvious that I was not consenting. We haven't spoken in days. You have never hit me so hard to leave a handprint." When we looked at her cell phone, it didn't include any responses from David Peralta.
What's your reason for doing an interview?
Because I want everyone to know the truth about him. I want everyone to know what he did to me.
More than 3 months after the alleged rape, she says she's frustrated. Nothing's happened to her husband, a man she says gave her this bruise and has her living in hiding away from St. Bernard Parish, a parish run by a man she's accusing of rape and abuse.
He is acting like he's all-powerful and can do whatever he wants. And as far as I'm concerned, he's doing exactly what he wants. Dave Peralta doesn't have to answer anybody. He doesn't have to answer anybody. That's what he believes. He's the parish president. He's above the law. He's above the law.